What's up, everybody? It's Brady here from Pin High Golf. It is Wednesday of Masters Week, and one of the most important parts about playing at the Masters at Augusta is putting. But what I want to do is I want to share some information with you about how you might be able to putt better as well. So I want to go through my whole routine, how I putt, how I go through things, so you can understand a little bit more about what better players might be thinking about, what they're working through, what they're seeing on the greens. Green reading is extremely important, distance control, and then of course starting your putt online. So the first thing that I like to work on is just getting my ball to start online. So what I'll do is, regardless of where I'm aiming, I'll set a ball up that has a line on it, so I have a nice straight up and down line. With that straight up and down line, then I can go ahead and pick a spot right out in front, which is going to be about 6 inches out in front of the golf ball. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to putt the ball directly over that spot, not worrying about the hole or my target. If I do this well, the ball should roll end over end, and you should see the same line all the way across. Just like that. And I'll get used to doing that more and more, just to make sure that I'm getting a straight starting line, and I don't have to worry so much over the directional part of that shot. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start to build out my distance control, right? So distance control is not based on how hard you hit the putt. It's more based off the stroke length that you put into it. The way I like to do that, I like to measure my stroke length. You might see Bryson doing this as well on the putting greens. But what I like to do is I will set up, pick the same setup every time, and I'll put the ball just ahead of center here. And then my reference point is going to be taking the putter head right here on the face, taking it the inside of my right foot. I'll hit 2 or 3 putts like that. Then I'll do the same the outside of my right foot. And then after that, I'll take the visual of my left hand over my right foot. Using those 3, it gives me a really good baseline. Normally I can get up to about 30 to 35 feet depending on the speed of the greens, and I'll do this before every round. This gives me a really good understanding of how the speeds are rolling, how fast the putts are rolling, and really what my distance control is going to be like that day. So we're going to go ahead and demonstrate that. Here is the inside of the foot first. And I like to hold my finish, just like I'm trying to be a robot. Then I'll do the outside of the foot. And then last but not least, I'll do my left-handed foot. Okay, now that I have those 3, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and step those off. Now that I've gotten those distances, now I'm going to step that off and take a couple practice putts from those distances to make sure that my numbers hold up well. So now that I've gotten the start direction under control, and now that I have my distance control under control, now I have to go ahead and make some work of how to read the green. Now I like to use a version of Aimpoint Express. Using Aimpoint helps me to really feel the green and helps me eliminate some of the illusions or visuals that I might get that might fool me. How many times have you been over a putt and said, oh, this breaks to the left, and ultimately ended up breaking to the right instead, and you was by further than you needed to? So what Aimpoint does, it helps eliminate some of that, makes it a little bit more accurate. And at the end of the day, as straight or as good of a distance control putter you can be, it doesn't matter if you can't read the green. The green reading to me is one of the most important pieces, right up there with distance control after that. So with that being said, I want to show you how I go through Aimpoint. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and figure out what the break is going to be. So I'm going to teach myself how to feel 1 to 3% essentially in the greens. I'm feeling this from right to left or left to right. In this case, I felt right around 3% for this putt. So at 3%, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my hand directly over top of the golf ball, which is what you'll see here. And when my hand is directly over top of the golf ball, I'll put my hand out in front of me. Now, it will change in distance from me to the hole depending on green speed, but then I'm going to go ahead and pick that spot right there, right where the end of my fingers were, and that is now going to be my aim point. So now I just have a straight putt. I'll get down, line up the ball, put it on that line. And the big thing is just when your green speeds change, you do need to understand that the slower they are, the further away your hand needs to be from your eyes, which means you just need to stand just a touch further away from the ball, but your hand should always be directly over top of the golf ball. For reference, slow greens with your hand fully extended out in front is normally about a 7 on the stem. Fast greens, anything over a 10 essentially, you're going to be inside of a 90-degree angle, so your hand's going to be closer to your face at that point. But medium, somewhere around 9 or 10, is generally going to be at 90 degrees from your body. So from there, you take your robotic stroke and should end up with a pretty good line. Now, as I said just a minute ago, one of the big things is you're going to feel break from 1 to 3%. You can go higher, but generally you're not going to see much more than that. So the big thing there is making sure you should understand 1, 2, and 3. 1 is low break, 2 is mid break, 3 is high break. If you can get those 3, you can use aim point effectively. Now from there, that also can help you with uphill, downhill, and speed. So basically what we're looking at there then is whenever you get to a point where you have an uphill or a downhill putt, you can feel the percent 1, 2, or 3% for that putt as well. But the question is just knowing the equation or the math to get you to that point. Basically, every percent at an easy level or an easy math kind of way to do it is going to be 1 inch up or down at 8 feet. So if you have an 8-foot putt, you're 1% uphill from that 8-foot putt where you start all the way to the hole. You're going to have 1 inch more elevation change going up to the hole, and that's going to equate to another foot of increased distance. So if we look at a putt that's maybe 24 feet out, that's now 3 of those 8-foot sections. If it's 1% on all of those 8-foot sections, then you're going to have 3 inches longer, which is going to translate to 3 feet, which is 1 extra step. So if I have a 4, 6, or an 8-step putt, I need to take 1 extra step and play it as that distance. So at 24 feet, I'm going to have something to the effect of probably 8 steps. If I had to guess, it's going to be pretty close to that. So if it's 1% uphill, I need to play that at almost 9 or 10 steps, depending on how much break we really have or how much increase in elevation we have. Same thing goes the opposite direction. If you're going downhill, you also need to make sure that you take speed off, or you take your stroke length off a little bit to help compensate for that as well. So all of these pieces all go together so that you can start to make putts a little bit more efficiently, and that way you're not compounding your putting issues, you're not misreading, putting the ball in places that now you're working much harder. And really where this helps a lot is as you get into more of the putts outside of 30 feet. For an amateur putter, putts outside of 30 feet generally are going to be 3 putts. You're much higher likelihood of making a 3 putt from outside of 30 feet than you are from inside of 30 feet. Doesn't mean we can't 3 putt from sooner or closer, because it's definitely possible. But the big thing there is if you're making 3 putts from outside of 30 feet, you employ these couple of different skills that you've just learned here today, practice them, get comfortable with them. Your lag putting will improve, as well as your short putting, because it's going to be a lot easier to predict what's going to happen. Try this out on your practice green, take it out to the golf course, and then, of course, that's where pace of play comes in. Nobody wants to stand behind a guy taking 40 minutes over a putt. So now what I'm going to show you is the full process of how this works and how quickly it can be done if you're the first one to your ball, second one to your ball, making sure that you're staying efficient on your time frame and making sure that you can work through this. It takes a little bit of practice. The quicker you, or the more you practice, the better you get and the faster this goes.